comes out that we'll see of Henry Cavill as Geralt. You saw the fan reaction. 300,000 people have signed this petition to keep Henry Cavill and fire the writers instead. Well, we know that's not going to happen. That was only followed up by The Witcher Blood Origin, a woke abomination of a show that only further destroyed the Witcher lore.
I have always looked at fan reactions, whether they be fully supportive or negative or aggressive or whatever they may be, as passion. Fans are just passionate. I'm a fan.
They're promoting it all that much because here it is, season 4 for The Witcher. Not looking good so far when it comes to the reviews. When it comes to the critics, right now they're at 55%. But when it comes to the fans, 19% on Rotten Tomatoes.
When Netflix waited until just 1 month before release to drop the trailer for The Witcher Season 4, fans instantly sensed that something was off. This wasn't a confident rollout. This was damage control. After all, this was the first time audiences would see Liam Hemsworth take over as Geralt of Rivia, a role made iconic by Henry Cavill. But instead of excitement, what people felt was dread. Because deep down, everyone suspected Netflix knew exactly what they were putting out.
Netflix waited to release The Witcher Season 4 trailer till a month before it actually premiered on Netflix. The first look that everyone got at Liam Hemsworth replacing Henry Cavill as Geralt. You knew that they knew it was going to be a monumental disaster.
And it wasn't good. The moment the trailer hit, the internet lit up with reactions, memes, and disbelief. How could a show that once stood as Netflix's crown jewel suddenly look so lifeless? The answer wasn't simple. It was buried under years of creative clashes, broken promises, and decisions that alienated the very fans who built its success. But when Season 4 finally landed, the numbers told the story better than anyone could. And they were brutal. Normally, a streaming giant like Netflix pushes a flagship show for months before release. Trailers, interviews, fan events, massive PR campaigns. But this time, there was nothing. No hype train, no red carpet interviews, no excitement. Just a quiet trailer drop and a release date that almost felt like an afterthought. It was as if Netflix wanted The Witcher to sneak onto the platform without drawing too much attention. Rumors started swirling that the short marketing window wasn't an accident. Insiders claim Netflix didn't want to build up expectations for a show they already knew couldn't deliver.
We knew that Witcher Season 4 was going to be a monumental disaster years ago when they announced that Henry Cavill was leaving the show to be replaced by Liam Hemsworth. That starting point is not good for this show, and we knew that Season 4 was going to be a disaster. We knew why Henry Cavill left. We knew because they had desecrated the lore and like everything that people love from the books, from the games. That's not what this TV show is about.
When a network treats its biggest fantasy property like a small indie release, that's not strategy, that's panic. And the silence from the cast and crew only made things look worse. Henry Cavill was gone, fans were already skeptical about the direction, and Netflix seemed to be quietly bracing for impact. But that silence was deafening. It hinted that Netflix wasn't proud of what was coming, and the moment reviews dropped, that theory became impossible to ignore. Within hours of release, the numbers came in. Critics gave The Witcher Season 4 a lukewarm 55% on Rotten Tomatoes, but fans, they hit it with a brutal 19%.
Oh, Henry Cavill warned everybody. Henry Cavill argued with them. Henry Cavill made it very clear that he was not happy with how they portrayed his character and the entire universe within The Witcher because it went against the books and it went against the games. They were not following the lore, and he knew what fans wanted. That's why he fucking left. So we knew years ago that this was going to be a nightmare, but that nightmare is very, very close to a reality now for Netflix.
That's not just disappointment. That's rejection. Viewers called it unwatchable, soulless, and a parody of itself. For a franchise that once stood as Netflix's crown jewel, this was a nosedive. Critics weren't exactly kind either. One review said that Hemsworth's Geralt felt less like a battle-hardened hero and more like a bard in a bad wig. Another wrote that the show had become everything fantasy epics fear becoming, pure background noise. Ouch. Even the small number of positive reviews couldn't hide the tone shift. What was once a dark, lore-driven saga had turned into a soap opera with swords. And that wasn't just bad luck. It was the direct result of creative decisions that had been angering fans for years. But to understand how The Witcher lost its identity, you have to look at the man who walked away before it all fell apart.
I'm the most annoying guy on set because I'm saying, excuse me, you do realize that this should be happening and they wouldn't do that, and you haven't read this, that means this would be impossible. And everyone's just going, Henry, just shut up and do the thing. And I'm like, I don't want to do the thing because he wouldn't do it this way, and he can't.
When Henry Cavill first stepped into the role of Geralt of Rivia, it felt like destiny. Fans didn't just accept him, they celebrated him. From the first trailer of Season 1, his gruff voice, subtle expressions, and sheer commitment to the world of The Witcher convinced everyone that he was Geralt. But what many people didn't know at the time was that Cavill wasn't just playing a character, he was protecting one. From day one, Cavill made it clear that he was a fan of Andrzej Sapkowski's novels and CD Projekt Red's video games. He spoke in interviews about how he'd played The Witcher 3 multiple times and how he respected the story's moral complexity.
It's about the activist showrunners and the activists at Netflix doing what they want with the character, regardless of whether that's in line with what everyone else loves. We saw Lauren Schmidt-Hissrich say this in the lead-up. Geralt is a little funnier this season. He's a little more dry. He's also a lot more emotional. He's going through a lot of different things than we've seen in the past. That's what everybody wants. An emotional Geralt. It's exactly what everyone's looking for.
To him, Geralt wasn't just a monster hunter. He was a tragic hero defined by loyalty, loss, and the constant struggle between duty and conscience. Cavill understood that better than anyone, but behind the scenes, not everyone shared his vision. Reports began surfacing that the show's writing team didn't hold the same respect for the source material. Some anonymous writers even admitted in interviews that they mocked aspects of the original story, calling it outdated or overly serious. Fans noticed subtle changes early on, small deviations from the lore, strange character choices, but brushed them off. After all, Cavill was still there, holding the world together. But as seasons went on, the gap between The Witcher's roots and Netflix's version kept widening. By the time Season 3 began filming, rumors suggested Cavill's patience had worn thin. According to several entertainment insiders, he'd repeatedly asked the writers to stay closer to Sapkowski's material, only to be ignored or dismissed. While none of these reports were ever officially confirmed, the consistency across different sources painted a clear picture. Cavill was fighting for the soul of the show and losing. Then came the announcement. Netflix confirmed Cavill would leave after Season 3, with Liam Hemsworth stepping into the role. The reaction was explosive. Fans flooded social media with disbelief and outrage. Hashtags like "No Cavill, No Witcher" trended worldwide within hours. Many vowed to stop watching altogether. Others clung to hope that maybe it wasn't as bad as it sounded, but deep down, they knew what Cavill's exit meant. When your lead actor, the face of your franchise, walks away from a multi-million-dollar role at the peak of his career, it's not because he's bored. It's because something is deeply wrong behind the curtain. And that's what made Cavill's silence so powerful. He never lashed out publicly, never called out the showrunners by name. Instead, he simply said he was passing the torch with gratitude and moved on. But fans could read between the lines. His absence spoke volumes. To make things worse, the showrunner, Lauren Schmidt-Hissrich, gave interviews describing Geralt's new direction as funnier and more emotional. For many fans, that was the final straw. Geralt was supposed to be stoic, haunted, restrained, a warrior who expressed pain through silence, not speeches. Turning him into a talkative, emotional lead felt like a betrayal of everything the character stood for. So when Cavill walked away, it wasn't just an actor leaving a show. It was the heart of The Witcher leaving its body. He represented the last thread connecting the adaptation to the world fans loved. And without him, that thread snapped. Some reports even claimed Cavill had been offered more creative input and declined. realizing the vision was too far gone. Whether that's true or not, it fits the story fans had already pieced together. A passionate actor trying to save a franchise from the very people running it. Today, Cavill's departure is remembered as the moment The Witcher began its true decline. Fans didn't turn away because he was gone, they turned away because of what his exit symbolized. It was proof that Netflix no longer understood what made the series special. And while Liam Hemsworth was about to face the impossible task of stepping into Geralt's boots, everyone already knew this wasn't just a casting change, it was a funeral march for a once-beloved show. Replacing a beloved lead is hard enough. Replacing Henry Cavill in The Witcher? Nearly impossible. Fans wanted to give Liam Hemsworth a chance. Many even defended him. But deep down, they knew the real problem wasn't him. It was the writing, the direction, and the disconnect between creators and fans. From the moment the new Geralt appeared in teasers, the backlash began. Trailers were ratioed on YouTube and social media threads filled with sarcastic comments about discount Geralt. But the anger wasn't aimed at Hemsworth personally, it was aimed at the people who put him in that position. Netflix had turned a fan-favorite character into a creative experiment, and Liam was the one left standing in the fallout. Even in the final show, his performance felt lost in a sea of tonal confusion. Fans didn't hate him, they pitied him, because no matter how good he tried to be, the world around him was already burning. And then Netflix made a move that left everyone completely stunned. The same day The Witcher Season 4 premiered, Netflix quietly dropped something else, The Rats, A Witcher Tale. No announcement, no trailer, no promotion, just a random title added to the platform. Fans discovered it by accident, and confusion turned to disbelief. It turns out The Rats wasn't originally supposed to be a movie. It was planned as another limited series, a spin-off to expand the universe. But after the disaster of Blood Origin, Netflix reportedly panicked. Instead of scrapping it entirely, they allegedly stitched the footage into a movie and dumped it onto the site alongside Season 4, hoping no one would notice. Viewers described it as chaotic, unfinished, and an afterthought. It felt like Netflix wanted to quietly bury it rather than celebrate it. And for many fans, that move symbolized exactly how far the company had drifted from caring about The Witcher's legacy. But as bad as that was, what came next made it clear the fandom had finally turned against the series for good. By the time Season 4 finally hit Netflix, the fandom had already drawn its battle lines. For months, fans had warned that the show was drifting too far from its roots. But when the new season arrived, those warnings turned into a collective "we told you so." Social media exploded within hours. Memes flooded Twitter and Reddit showing side-by-side comparisons of Cavill's Geralt, stoic, rugged, iconic, versus the new version, which many said felt like a completely different person. YouTubers began uploading reaction videos with titles like "The Witcher is dead" and "Netflix doesn't get it anymore." But the outrage wasn't just noise, it was heartbreak. For a lot of fans, The Witcher wasn't just a show, it was a world they'd grown up with through books and games. Watching it become unrecognizable felt personal. One viral Reddit thread called it like seeing your favorite band reform with new members who don't even know the lyrics. Harsh, but accurate. Critics tried to calm the storm by pointing out that Season 4 gave more screen time to Yennefer and Ciri, calling it a bold new direction. But for longtime fans, that wasn't bold. It was betrayal. Many felt Geralt, the supposed main character, had been sidelined in favor of themes and storylines that didn't fit the original tone. One review praised Yennefer's arc as empowering and emotionally satisfying, and while that comment was meant as praise, it only fueled the backlash. Fans argued that the show had completely misunderstood its own title. The Witcher was now about everyone except The Witcher himself. Soon, the comment sections turned into digital battlegrounds. Rotten Tomatoes pages filled with thousands of one-star reviews. On YouTube, even the official trailers became ratioed into oblivion. More dislikes than likes, more frustration than hype. Fans didn't just express anger, they organized it. Entire communities popped up around boycotting Season 5, demanding that Netflix reboot the franchise the right way, or give the rights back to someone who actually cared about the source material. What made this backlash unique was how united it felt. Usually, fan outrage is divided. Some defend the changes, others move on. But here, both sides of the fandom agreed. This wasn't The Witcher anymore. Even viewers who tried to stay optimistic admitted it felt hollow, stripped of the grit, mystery, and moral weight that once defined it. And the irony? The more Netflix tried to defend their choices publicly, the worse it got. Each statement about creative freedom or new storytelling perspectives was met with sarcasm and memes. The fans didn't want marketing spin, they wanted authenticity. And by this point, it was gone. It was a rare moment in entertainment where everyone, critics, fans, even casual viewers, seemed to share one sentiment. The Witcher had lost its magic. And when that happens, when a fandom that passionate collectively turns its back, it's not just a season that fails, it's a legacy that crumbles in real time. Now, the question everyone's asking is simple. What happens next? Rumors suggest Netflix already filmed parts of Season 5, but there's uncertainty about whether it will even be released. Viewership dropped dramatically, and fan trust is at an all-time low. Some industry insiders have hinted that Netflix may quietly wind down the franchise and pivot to other projects instead of trying to fix it. Meanwhile, Henry Cavill seems to have moved on, reportedly diving into new fantasy territory with Warhammer 40K, a project that already has fans buzzing. Ironically, that could become the fantasy epic that The Witcher was supposed to be. For Netflix, the damage may be irreversible. Once fans lose faith, it's nearly impossible to win them back, especially when those fans built your show into a global phenomenon in the first place. The Witcher didn't just lose its star, it lost its soul. At the end of the day, The Witcher's fall wasn't about one actor leaving or one season failing. It was about losing respect for the story and the people who loved it. Netflix had everything they needed to make a timeless fantasy saga. Rich lore, a dedicated fan base, and a lead actor who lived and breathed the role. But instead of honoring that, they chose to reinvent it for the sake of modern storytelling. The result? A used beloved universe, now mocked by the very fans who once defended it. The Witcher's journey from cultural phenomenon to cautionary tale should serve as a warning, not just for Netflix, but for every studio that forgets why people fall in love with stories in the first place. Because when you trade authenticity for agenda, when you ignore the heart of what made something great, the magic fades. And that's exactly what happened to The Witcher. So, what do you think? Can The Witcher ever recover from this? Or is this truly the end of the continent we once loved?